it as basic as just all those missed three-pointers and then it turns the other way? How is the game so dramatically different 2 nights later from what we saw against the Spurs to what we saw tonight against the Blazers?
Uh, I mean, we knew the scouting report, that downhill team. I feel like we just didn't lock into the tendencies and also understand that we have to compete for 24 seconds every time we're on defense. We can't shortcut anything. It's hard to win this league anyway. We coughed one up.
Was ball containment the biggest issue on the defensive end tonight?
Yeah, I mean, not only that, second chance points, offensive rebounds. I mean, you could go down the list.
How would you describe your feelings when you guys get in those early holes and you're trying to dig yourself out throughout the game?
I mean, it's demoralizing for the fans. And for us, we're constantly trying to dig ourselves out these holes that exerts extra energy than we need to do. And we need to figure out how when we come to play against teams like that, 48 minutes of our style to play basketball.
I know you play with who you have, but this is the first game this season without Tyler. How do you think the offense functioned without him?
I think we did well without Tyler. Obviously, we lost the game, but far as running our sets and getting moving, obviously Tyler's a big part of what we do. So we're always going to miss him when he's out. But I feel like we got the ball where it was supposed to go. We just missed shots.
Were you a little surprised when you found out you were going to start next to Kel'el? And how much of that is going to be a process for you guys?
Wasn't surprised at all. Spo's one of those guys, once he sees something working, he just goes for it. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to figure it out. It's not, he's one of the young guys that really wants to soak in information and learn. So for us and me, it's, just bringing him along and, helping him figure out, because as y'all can see, he's a talent in this league, and, we feel like he'll be around for a long time.
Kel'el, from your view, what was maybe the biggest issue on the defensive end for you guys tonight, at least through the first three quarters when you got into that big hole?
I would say around the perimeter a little bit. Portland got off with a lot of threes that, a little bit of miscommunication, and then a little bit of they were just great shots. So, you can't blame a team for knocking down their shots. They work on it.
Well, this is the first game this season that you guys haven't had Tyler, and I know you play with who you have the night of, but how do you think the offense, especially in your first start, kind of functioned without Tyler, and how do you feel like you and Bam played off each other as well?
I feel like, with me and Bam first, I would say, it's going to always, be a little work, just get used to it, playing, one another out there. But with Tyler, of course, he's that. He attracts, more of the defense, because he's, a lethal shooter, and he's able to just come off and knock down shots and, get to the rim as well. So I feel like, we didn't really have that a little bit tonight. So I feel like, that played a little part in it.
Kel'el, is it a little bittersweet that you kind of start today's game coming off of a big game the other night, but obviously it ends in a loss like this? Is it sort of disappointing, but still you find some happiness that it is your first start here, or what's the thought process like there?
I waited my whole life for to be able to start an NBA game, but of course, you always want to win, but I mean, that's really all that matters is getting the win. So I ain't really got much else to say.
You guys did make a heck of a run there in that fourth quarter. I guess what was the mentality of not giving up and basically up to the point of that Pella steal, nearly getting the bucket to 5?
I was first off with that group. I would say we had some energy a little bit. That's what helped us make that run a little bit, and I feel like we could have kept that going a little bit. Avoided a couple of other fouls. When the shot clock was running out. So I appreciate it.
Erik, we often hear about how missed shots and then the defense goes also, but this seemed to be a case where they were sort of happening simultaneously, where the defense wasn't there even when you were making shots. How did it go so south, so combined, so quickly?
Yeah, I don't have that answer fully, right now. Portland definitely set the tenor of the game, just how aggressively they were attacking us off the dribble. attacking the paint, attacking the drives, offensive rebounding. We're often, from those drives. We just never really got a handle on the driving game until, that, last, whatever desperation, effort we were making the last 7 minutes of the game. We finally got some contained drives at that point, but you do have to credit them. They were downhill the entire night, whether we were in the man or zone.
The fact that they only had 3 turnovers to the first 3 quarters
Yeah.
is not a sign of just the activity level
For sure.
being there.
We mentioned that at halftime. We didn't force 1 turnover. We had 0 turnovers, a ton of drives, in transition, just attacking the half court versus our man or zone. We're at our best when we're disruptive. Again, you don't need analytics to know when we're at our best. You can see it, you can feel it, you get inspired by it, and through 3 quarters, that wasn't it.
Coach, obviously, I know it's a loss here, but can you just kind of talk about Kel'el in the start today? Obviously, the narrative about him being alongside Bam, but having a good double-double tonight.
Yeah, the rebounding, he did some really good things defensively at the rim. He'll continue to get better, when to go, when not to go, when to wall up. If a guy catches it in the paint, those things he'll get better. But, the upside obviously is very encouraging, and that's why, he's in the starting lineup right now. We just frankly need to get him in there for more minutes, whether it was off the bench or starting. It's an easier way to make that happen.
I know you go with who you have, but how do you think the offense, since it was the first time this season without Tyler?
That is really tough to evaluate. Without Tyler, and just our overall intentionality was not at its highest level.
Typically, in cases like this, there'll be times when someone is down and your leading man will take over and do a little bit more. Jimmy's effort tonight seemed a bit languid. He wasn't there on the floor at the finish. How are you working through this level of Jimmy that you've gotten since his return?
It is. I know what you're trying to get out of me. You're not going to get anything worthwhile. It was just was not a very inspiring, first 3 quarters, by the whole group. So it's tough to pinpoint one person in that. I was subbing, getting it deeper into the rotation. Just nothing really seemed to take hold until we got to that last group. That was probably the most inspiring group. And I believe Pell got that steal. That was an opportunity to get it to 5. And that was finally the building was moving and shaking a little bit. And that was because of what the guys were doing on the floor.
Is it frustrating when the team gets into those early holes and they're struggling to find its rhythm, or do you have
No, it's basketball. Look, you're not always going to get off to a great start. It's 48 minutes. You got to try to take control of the game. You got to try to set the tone. You got to try to play consistently throughout. Everybody's trying to do the same thing. It's who can impose their will longer than the other team. All right, thank you.